Hey class, this is Gigi. Is a question on a MyMathLab homework. This is the derivative of log, an exponential assignment. So the question the person asked is yes, they were able to get the answer through the help button, but they really want to understand what the process is to get to the right answer. And that is exactly what I wanted you guys to do when you are doing MyMathLab. If it's great, I think, to have that help module, and you need to be able to learn from it. And so when you cannot learn from it, that's when you would say, oh, hey, I think I need some verbal explanation here. So here it is, okay? The question then is to go ahead and take the derivative. So one of the things that we should know is what is the derivative of b to the x power? Okay, the derivative of b to the x power is b to the x ln of b. Okay, now how is that the same or different than e to the x? The derivative of e to the x is e to the x, and if you were to follow this format, right, you would say, oh, the b is e, right? So it would be e to the x ln of e. Well, ln of e is 1, so that is one of the reason why the derivative of e to the x is just e to the x. Okay, now, but if it's other bases other than e, then the derivative is b to the x ln of b. Okay, so for this problem, the question is if f of x is equal to 14 to the x power divided by 14 to the x power plus 3. What is the derivative? So here we can see that this is a quotient. So we would have a quotient rule here. So then the derivative is f prime of x is equal to, and the quotient rule said on the denominator we would have 14 to the x plus 3 square, the denominator square. On the numerator, you would have the derivative of 14 to the x is 14 to the x ln of 14 multiplied by the bottom, which is 14 to the x plus 3. Okay, and this would be minus the derivative of the denominator, which would be 14 to the x ln of 14 multiplied by the numerator, which is 14 to the x. Okay, so what can we do at this point? We can distribute and clean that up. Okay, so you would say then f prime of x is equal to 14 to the x ln of 4 multiplied by 14 to the x is going to be 14 to the x squared, right? And this is sort of a thing you have to really kind of think about. What does it mean to be something squared? When you have an exponent raised to an exponent, you would multiply the exponent. So 14 to the x squared will be 14 to the 2x. ln of 14, okay, that would be the first term. And then 14 to the x, ln of 4 times 3 would be 14 to the x multiplied by 3 ln of 14 minus 14 to the x multiplied by 14 to the x is 14 to the x squared. Okay, so that would be 14 to the 2x ln of 14, all divided by 14 to the x plus 3 squared. So what is happening here? We would say, hey, 14 to the 2x ln of 14 minus 14 to the 2x ln of 14 is it, right? So all we have is just this part right here. And that would be a good answer. Okay, now someone may say, how come the answer that is displayed here different? Well, this right here is exactly the same as this right here. 14 to the 2x is going to be equal to 14 to the second raised to the x. You can interchange the x and the 2. So that would be 196 to the x power, which is exactly what this is. So this and that really are the same, just as we can see in this part right here, right? In my answer, this and this are the same value with opposite sign. So they become 0 when you add them. Okay, now what about the middle? Where is the 2,744 come from? Well, 3 ln of 14. Property of log said this number right here could be put on top as the exponent. And I bet you when you say 14 to the third power, that is 2744. And that's where that number comes from. Okay, so that is helped in my math lab homework. L6b, derivative of log. The derivative of ln, the derivative of b to the x power is b to the x ln of b. And along the way, you have to know some property of logs and property of exponent. And that is review. That is your algebra.